Hello and welcome back. Okay, so again, we are going to be doing another example, trying to solve a system of equation using the substitution method. Again, there are two methods of actually trying to solve a system of equation. There is the substitution, and then there is another thing called the elimination, which we are going to be covering. I think in the next it's going to be the third video after this, or the second one. Actually, I think it's the next one. So, the reason why I always prefer the substitution method is because I don't actually have to think that whether or not the substitution thing is actually going to work or not. It's actually something like I always know the amount of time the substitution method is going to take, but elimination method it's sometimes like it takes less than half of the time the substitution method takes, or sometimes it just takes forever and it just doesn't solve. So I always prefer the substitution method. Okay, enough of that. Let's actually try to solve the first example that we have. In this case, it is going to be in terms of x's and y's, as you can see. And again, the first thing that we're going to do is make the first equation in terms of y, or making the x subject. Okay, so this is what I actually mean by that. We want the x to be on the left hand side isolated, and whatever is left we can have it on the right hand side. Okay, so let's actually do that. And to actually do that, first of all, let's actually get rid of the bottom equation. We can always get that back when we need it, and subtract negative 3y on both sides. And because we want to get rid of the 3y, which is on the left hand side, we can cancel that out. Okay, and on the right hand side, 4 negative 3y. On the left hand side, we still have the negative 2, the positive 2 that we need to get rid of. Okay, so for that we can do the normal division in this case, and we can cancel the 2's out on the left hand side, and on the right hand side we can actually see that we can't actually do much. The only thing we can do is have them written individually, but not much can be done, so we'll just leave it as it is. Okay, so now we are in a position to substitute the value of x in this case, which is written in terms of y, into the second equation. Okay, so let's bring out our second equation and let's put the values into the second equation. Okay, so we actually did that, and now we want to find y. Again, we want to simplify the entire equation. Okay, so let's actually try to solve the entire thing. 4 divided by 2, that gives us 2. Okay, so 2 negative 3 by 2y enclosed in some brackets, which we can get rid of because it is actually just being multiplied with 1, and that just basically means that we get 2 negative 3 by 2y again. Okay, so now we are in a position to actually start shifting the constants on one side and on all the variables on the other side. Okay, so let's actually do that. First of all, we need to get rid of the 2, so we actually add a negative 2. We add negative 2 on both sides, and on the left hand side we can cancel that out. On the right hand side, again, that gives us 2 negative 2 is equal to 0, so we are left with that. Okay, so let's actually do the y's again. Okay, so negative 3 by 2 added to 1, that actually gives us okay, we're gonna actually do this as well. Okay, so let's actually get rid of the denominator first. Okay, so we do that by multiplying the entire equation by 2. We can actually get rid of the 2 this way because the 2 is going to be the LCM in this case, or you can call it the LCD. We do that, 2 times the 2's can cancel out in this case. Okay, so we are left with negative 3y, and 2 times 1y is just equal to 2y. We have 3y and times 2y. So 0 times 2 is actually equal to 0, right? Because any number multiplied with 0 just gives us 0. So we can just say that is 0. And I think we actually solved the left hand side while I wasn't watching. Okay, so negative 1 can go on both sides, and we can actually just have a normal y in this case. Okay, so negative 1 times negative y just gives us a normal y, and 0 times negative 1 again just gives us another 0. So we now have the value of y. Now, but we don't actually know the value of x, right? We still don't know the value of x. So we can actually put the value of y into the first equation. We do that, and we get negative 3 by 2 times 0, which is in fact just equal to 0, right? So this is equal to 0, so this just evaporates. Okay, so 4 by 2 negative 0, again just 4 by 2. We have found our solution. Okay, so it was actually slightly longer than I expected, but you can actually, when you actually start doing this yourself and you start practicing, you can do this, I believe, in like 2 minutes or something. I think the average time is like 3 minutes. So it's really consistent. The results are consistent, so I prefer this method. But then again, we should always know all of the methods, because then we can actually we can compare them. So that is all there is for this video. Thank you for watching, and I really hope you learned something.